Hey guys, Value Venture Investing here. So as you can tell, I'm doing a little bit something different today. I thought you guys might get a little bit tired of just looking at my computer screen all the time. So I want to do a different kind of video, and I want to talk, of course, about the Apple September event. Now this was 2 days ago, and if you hadn't heard about it, the big things, of course, was the iPhone. There's 3 models that were released, and the Watch Series 3. So I want to make a video about this. I think the stock was up about around 3% today, 2%, something like that. It actually responded a little bit better than I thought it would, considering this is kind of like the off year because of the S. But I thought I'd talk about these phones a little bit because this is the meat and gravy of Apple's financials, of course, right? We had the XS, so they upped the price on this. I think it's more around like $1,100 now. The SX Max. I think this one's around $1,300, somewhere around there. And then of the XR, it was $750. Now these are US dollars. Don't mind my writing there. But the main thing here is that the ASPs are up, and that's been a huge driver for the EPS, along with share buybacks for Apple. I watched some videos online about the XR. This is going to be the one that's going to be very important to Apple. I don't know what's with these names either, but so I watched another financial channel, and he was basically saying, well, this is going to be the driver. Apple's never been successful before with an S variant. Before they had the 5S, I believe it was. But I tend to disagree. I mean, this one is pretty unreal. So we go to the top XS and the SX Max. These ones are going to have the better screens. They're going to have, of course, the AMOLED displays. Whereas the XR is only going to have the LCD, and the bezels are smaller. So I think if people are, if they're willing to spend $750, they're probably going to bump up to $1,100, right? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do that? So that's where my mindset is. I think these are going to be the big drivers. I think specifically the XS Max is going to be a huge seller for the stock. And I think the huge thing with these is the size. Now, if you look at the size of these, what I think is so successful with these is that the XS is the same size screen as the 8 Plus, but the 8 Plus is so much bigger. So as you can see in that picture there, it's it's getting a smaller form factor with a bigger screen, and that's going to be the driver for the growth in the company right now. This is very similar to the one that we saw last year. The X or the 10 or whatever you want to call it. It's called the 10, I believe. But until we see something new, that's going to be the driver and driving out of those older phones. And that's another reason why I'm not too sure of the XR. So I'm very bullish on the stock, as you know, and I think that we're going to see the XS Max, I can barely say these names, and the XS do very well. Now, another thing with these phones, of course, they had the bionic chips. They're just beautiful. There's so many things with them. This isn't a tech channel, so I'm not going to really go into too much detail, but they're just amazing, and I think that they're going to do very well. Now, the next thing that I wanted to bring in was I want to talk about the watch. So this is a very underrated category of Apple, and I'm going to tell you why. There's a couple big reasons. I mean, one of them I think about is the demographics of North America and the world. I mean, we have an aging population, right? And they are doing so much with this watch behind the scenes that people are not even paying attention to. As something as simple with the Series 3, they've developed this, this fall mechanism. They've basically figured out how people fall, how their arms come out when they fall and stuff like that. And that is basically gonna, call emergency services if something like that happens. They also had the first ECG, so the electrical cardiogram. It's the first device that you can actually do this in, and it's approved by the FDA. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize, where Apple's going with this device and the potential that it has. And people always talk about, iPhone, right? This is like, it's dropped a bit, but 60-some% of, Apple's revenue. Yes, the watch is dependent on the iPhone, but even if these sales start to slow down, there's so much growth in this category right here, right? And it's all health related, as well as other things as well. But to have these types of things that are, sending direct information to doctors, keeping older people safe. It's a huge thing, right? And like I said in my last video, I'll put a link up in the left-hand corner right now. This was like almost, I believe, 40% growth year over year, the wearables category. And watch is a huge portion of it. I believe, per quarter, we're almost seeing 4 billion per quarter. And that's not specifically watch, that's the wearables category, but that a huge portion of that is the watch, because the watch is having amazing growth. And this is minuscule, compared to what Apple does just in the iPhone on a quarterly basis. But there's huge growth potential in this. That's my point. So this makes me even more bullish on the stock. I expected it to be kind of a boring event because it's the S here, it's the off variant, right? And yeah, they didn't really surprise us with anything. But I found that this was kind of interesting how they threw that in, and also how they're really just doubling down on this and making this this XS Max like the hugely highly priced. It's got HDR, high dynamic range. It's got 120 hertz motion to the screen, and so they're making it really, really expensive. And I don't see people not shelling this out. It hasn't come to the point where people are not going to shell this out. So basically, most of this is going to go to Apple's bottom line. So I continue to be bullish on the stock. I mean, if you want to know the other reasons that I'm bullish on the stock, watch my other videos. But I thought this was a little explanation on the phone and the watch and my thoughts on it, and why they're the two most important categories, other than services, that is, was something that we should look at. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.